I think I'll go ahead and get started. You might have seen a couple of slides going past. And I want to talk a little bit about what is coming up. But while people are joining the call, I just want to welcome you and welcome you to this series of forums called Arise. And thank you for taking time out to attend this evening. We're really thankful that you've come, and we really want to give you a broad range of topics that will enrich your life, give you some good ideas and ability to really reflect on your grief process and that of your kids tonight. This is a special evening where we're going to focus on children and grief. So I just want to introduce myself. I'm Leanne Lorian, and I was one of the people who helped to start Wings for Widows back in 2018. It was the year after my husband died. And working with Chris Bentley, who is now our executive director, we've recruited a large number of volunteers who bring skills and training and big hearts and passion to the people that we serve. We just finished holding our annual benefit, and that recording, as well as almost all of the forums that we've held over the last 18 months or so, are on our YouTube page. So you can always go back and look for the Wings for Widows page on YouTube and go back and see and listen to all of these recordings. You should just check it out. And if you aren't sure what to do, you can go to the Wings for Widows page and click on the YouTube icon that's on our page, and that will take you to that site. Our primary mission at Wings for Widows is to provide personalized financial wellness coaching to help widows move forward with confidence and hope after loss. If you have not taken advantage of this free service, please don't hesitate to do so. We like to say, you don't know what you don't know. And our coaches go through 9 different areas of financial, navigation, things that you need to know: taxes, credit, security, as far as like identity theft and so on, how to do a will, what bills you have to pay and don't have to pay that, from your husband's estate. These are all questions that are very, very practical and could save you a lot of money if you want to have a coach help you go through your finances and your particular needs. Tonight, we have somebody very special. And again, we've talked a lot about this because it's hard to find someone who really specializes in helping children with their grief. And so I wanted to, first of all, introduce Destiny. Destiny Bobert is a personal coach. She's also worked with us to provide a class, an enrichment class this year for the first time. And she has worked personally with our speaker tonight, Camille Cole. So Destiny, I wanted to introduce you first, and I'm very honored to know you and to have gotten to know you over the last year or so. Destiny is the youngest widow that I know. Is your daughter 6?
7.
6 years, 7 years old.
Yep.
And her husband, she just passed her 2nd anniversary of her husband's death. So she is navigating this path just the same as all of us are. Destiny, I want to welcome you, and then I'm going to let you tell the story of how you met Camille and introduce her for us.
Absolutely. Thanks, Leanne, for your introduction. I appreciate you all coming on tonight. I think as a widow and a solo mom, grief is difficult, but watching your child grieve their parent is one of the most gut-wrenching experiences, in my opinion. I was asked to come on here tonight to introduce Camille. There's a bunch of good things I'd like to say about Camille, but I don't want to take away too much time from her discussion tonight. Some backstory. As Leanne mentioned, my husband unexpectedly passed in October of 2019. And I knew early on getting our daughter into counseling was critical. As adults, we struggle to express ourselves, never mind a child at 5 years old losing their father and trying to understand the complexity of his passing. Within about 2 weeks of my husband's passing, we were referred to the facility where Camille works. Without knowledge of her also being widowed, we connected almost immediately. Camille has worked tirelessly with my daughter on her grief in other areas. Ellie walked into her first session 2 years ago, a little girl with a variety of emotions she was unable to express. And today, some days I can't get her to stop talking about her feelings and emotions. Today, she can express herself and voluntarily helps her peers express themselves in school. Through Camille's own grief from losing her husband, she has been able to turn her pain into a passion of helping children and adults. Not only has she helped Eliana, she makes the emotions through being a widow feel normal. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Camille.
Thank you, Destiny. Thank you, Leanne, for inviting me to speak. Destiny, thank you for your kind words. This is my passion. I was 32 years old when my husband passed away, and that was 29 years ago. And during that time, there were no forums, there were no groups, there was really nothing for widows, and it was really a shame. I had a therapist from hospice come and check on me who told me I was fine. I will not tell you what my definition of fine is because it's not appropriate, but you can all maybe think about it. My husband died of a brain tumor. And at that time, my husband was the only person that ever believed in me. He allowed me to do what I wanted to do with full support. But when it was his time to pass, he knew he was dying. And he said, you need to go to school because you need to do something better for yourself. So I was an administrative assistant at a time. And after my few blunders in nursing school is where he had me. That wasn't the place for me. I'm just not nursing material at all. So my hat goes off to all nurses. But I do like minds, and I wanted to be a grief therapist. So when my youngest daughter was in college, I went and earned my bachelor's degree. So I have a bachelor's in behavioral science with a specialization in psychology. And then I moved forward with my master's. So I have a master of science with a specialization in mental health counseling. During my course of going to school and wanting to be a grief therapist, my professor told me I wasn't ready. And I thought that was interesting because here I am in my 50, close to 50. And he's like, you're not ready. Like, what do you mean I'm not ready? But I understood why I wasn't ready because I never really properly had the opportunity to process my own grief. So I did that. And then I started working at a place where I met Destiny and her daughter, one of my favorites. No, we're not supposed to have favorites. And I just started doing all the grief cases that came in. And that is my passion, is to help people. I don't want people to feel lost like I did. Don't want them to have poor experiences and get on a road that might not be healthy road. And then I love children and helping work with children. Although children was not my original plan, that was what was presented to me. And so I think that's where I'm supposed to be with children that are grieving as well as adults that are grieving. So that's my background story. And this is how this is my journey. This is how I came to do what I wanted to do. One thing, when kids are suffering, they're really suffering like you're suffering, except they don't know how to handle it. They don't know where to put it. And you yourself might not know where to put it. but kids will follow your lead. So it's really important that you recognize that they're sad. Don't go and hide your sadness from them. Share it with them. Sit down in silence together. Sometimes just sitting there and being there, being in the moment is what anybody needs. Hold a hand. Sometimes kids experience fear of abandonment, and that's probably the biggest one besides separation anxiety. The fear of abandonment, it's a struggle because that affects all your relationships. So for a little child who's suffering and feeling that fear, if it's not managed or taught to process, it can be devastating as they grow older. So when we have the separation anxiety mixed with the abandonment fear, it really rallies their ability to trust. And when they can't trust, they don't always make good choices. And they just kind of, keep things inside, which is not good, where they just internalize and internalize. That internalization can come out as anger, aggression, meanness, and they don't even understand why that's happening. They also can experience a disbelief that you're lying. Not everybody is able to, be present when their loved one is passing. It can happen in a hospital, it can happen in a car accident, anything. So when they can't see it, there's a sense of disbelief, just like you might have a sense of disbelief. Everything mirrors everything else. What do we do, right? What do we do when our child feels that disbelief? We talk to them. We're honest with them. The one thing we don't want to do, is lie to them. We want them to realize this did happen. How many times did you go to the cabinet to get 2 cups of coffee? Right? I've done it. I've still done it. I don't know, sometimes it's like, what am I thinking? I'll go grab that second cup and then I have to shake my head. So it can follow you no matter how long you've been widowed. It can follow a child. They might say, oh, mommy's coming back or daddy's coming back. And then they stop. And then they're thinking. And the thing to do is say, it's okay. I do that too. Right? Normalize it for them. Keep it normal. One of the things you want to make sure is that they feel safe. They're going to latch on to the parent that survived, right? They're going to latch on to you. You're not going to be able to leave. Destiny, I hope you don't mind if I bring up this example.
No, not at all.
I remember when I called Destiny to make the appointment for her daughter, and she's like, oh, I don't think she's going to come in. She's not going to come in with you. I'm like, that's okay. You come in too. I believe she did. She came in, we did the intake and we talked. And then the second time, I remember she kind of looked, but she did. She came through. She held onto my hand and we went down the hall to my office. But she had that sense of safety, right? Because mom did not leave her side that first time. She came into the office and she figured out this is safe for me. And so through that process, didn't want to talk about it, didn't want to do anything. And that's so many times that kids don't want to talk. So we draw pictures. We talk about the person. And sometimes they look at you. I don't want to talk about them. Okay, you want to play a game? We'll play a game. Sometimes in the course of whatever game you're playing, strikes a memory. And guess what? they start talking. You didn't even ask anything. I'm going to try to show you this. This is something that I have done with the kids in my office. See if I can find it here. I do a lot of hearts. This is probably one of my favorite things. See the heart with all the puzzle pieces. We fill in a memory in each piece. And before you know it, they are all filled in, right? It's really a nice, it's a rewarding feeling to see those puzzle pieces filled in. They might struggle on the first one, but that's it. They start flooding through. We have tears. I always allow the kids to cry. Always allow them to cry. So I don't only just work with little kids who have grief. I have some teenagers that have lost a parent, and sometimes they're a little bit harder because they're a little bit more stubborn. They put on like a facade. Oh, I'm okay. Are you? Okay. What's something that you want to chat about? Talk about anything. They'll go off topic. But we do an exercise with the heart. You can't get them to stop talking. So what I did in my office for the kids is I turned my door into a in memory of, and it has the in memory of on the top, and then I made these 2 candles, and then each child that wanted to made a heart, and they put their person's name on that heart, and then they come into the office and they see, oh wow, somebody else put one up there, somebody else put one up there, and that just made them feel like they weren't alone. You can do that in your home. You can put a special little memorial if that's what helps them, if that's what helps you. Years ago, I was just telling people this the other day. Years ago, nobody talked about grief. We didn't talk about the people that had died. It's almost like you forgot them. How unfair is that? Right? They lived. And I think it's important for kids to hear the stories, the good, the bad, the indifferent, because they're human. Oh, I remember when mommy came in and this happened, or I remember when daddy came in and this happened. And it's really rewarding. Sometimes the hardest part is the holidays for kids. So what are we going to do? We're going to make an ornament. It goes at the top of the tree. Or we're going to make a special thing, and every time there's a holiday, we're going to put this out. I always tell people, they were there. You can make an ornament. You can do something special for that person. One of the most important things that I can't stress enough is truthfulness with children and listening. And sometimes listening is just sitting, not trying to fix it. They'll fix it. They'll know how. And art is your best medicine. Draw with them, color with them, make a heart, make something special. I know that Destiny's daughter was all worried about Halloween. She yelled at me actually in my session because I'm like, oh, what are you drawing over there? What is that? She goes, well, obviously it's my dad. And I went, oh, I'm sorry. And so we went and we did this, and you're not supposed to know that, Destiny. You know, that's my confidentiality thing. But she goes, oh, she shakes her head, Miss Camille. And so we talked about it, and I says, well, you know what you can do? because she told me how she was going to miss not having a picture on Halloween. And I said, put a picture of dad right there where it can be filmed in the camera, and then he'll be there. Or have a pumpkin in the middle of you and mom. Something, do something to remember dad so he's part of it. Do those things. It's important for kids. They know that the parent is not there. But in their mind, they have to feel. I do work with an older girl, and this one is hard because they become very depressed, and so they actually lost their ability to focus. And so they had come into my office, and I'm like, what's the matter? Like, what happened? And they said, I feel like I did last December when I first started seeing you, going through the triggers, and we're talking. And I said, oh, what was the anniversary date of your mom? And she told me. And it was like 2 days prior to me seeing her. And she goes, her birthday's on Sunday. And I said, that's why you're feeling depressed. That's a little bit why. Let's talk about how we can celebrate mom's birthday. What are we going to do for mom? We can make cupcakes. What did she like? Sit around, have a party for mom, celebrate her life. She was here. And that is very, very important, to celebrate somebody's life. Don't forget about them. Your children are not going to forget about them. Don't swish them under the carpet. Allow them to still carry on that legacy that was their parent. And it's important. If you feel sad, they feel sad. Cry together. But don't let the child be your caregiver. You got to be very careful of that. You're still the parent. So you can do things together. It's okay to say, I feel sad sometime too. So I'm going to end with that. I hope that there was some good information in there.